I am here at the University of California, Office of the President. Hello.
Hi.
All
Hello.
righty. Okay, well, I think then we can get started. Thank you all for being here. This is a big group, and welcome to this year's ARCS Scholar Meet and Greet. I'd like to start off with introduction. My name is Almut Wolf. I'm the Assistant Director of Foundation Relations here at UCSC, and I'm also the liaison to the ARCS Foundation. Just before we start the program, a couple of housekeeping points. As I mentioned, the session is being recorded. If you're able, please keep your cameras on and your microphones off until it is your turn to speak. And we will share the recording and the presentations with the ARCS Foundation after this meeting. At the end of the presentation, when the scholars have had a chance to present their slides, we have time for question and answers. And with that, I'd like to warmly welcome our guests from the ARCS Foundation Northern California chapter and extend a heartfelt thanks for all your generous support of our graduate scientists with unrestricted funds. Your enthusiasm for graduate research and your genuine interest in each ARCS scholar are truly inspiring. I would like to express my special thanks to Debjani Sen from ARCS for her efforts with planning, communication, and coordination for this year's event. Thank you. Welcome to this year's cohort of 14 ARCS scholars. Each of you was nominated by your department into a pool of candidates and then selected by a faculty-led committee. Congratulations and welcome to the ARCS community. I would like to share with all of you the recent article that was published in the UCSC News Center, where this year's cohort was introduced to the campus community. And I am going to put that link in the chat right there. And we will begin today's program by introducing the leadership of the graduate division at UCSC. It is my pleasure to welcome our host, the Vice Provost and Dean of Graduate Studies, Dr. Peter Beal. While many of you already know Dean Beal, I'd like to take a moment to reintroduce him and share a few highlights of his background and accomplishments. Dean Beal leads the graduate division since 2021. And he implemented the division's 360-degree approach to graduate education, spanning recruitment, admissions, mentoring, student success, professional and career development, and alumni engagement. He is a professor of anthropology. He has taught at universities in Buffalo, New York, in Halle, Freiburg, Germany, Cambridge, UK, and Paris, France. His research explores climate change in the past, museums, and archaeological heritage. He's the author and editor of rather a long list of books, articles, chapters, and conferences. And a first-generation college student himself, he has made expanding access to higher education his guiding principle for more than 25 years. And I continue on with welcoming Karen Ottoman, Distinguished Professor and Chair of the Department of Microbiology and Environmental Toxicology, better known at UCSC as METOX. Karen Ottoman has been a professor at UCSC since 1999, department chair from 2010 to 2015, and again since 2023 to the present. Professor Ottoman will soon be stepping into a new role in the graduate division as Associate Dean of Graduate Studies and Postdoctoral Affairs. This is exciting as she will bring her expertise as a mentor, a faculty advisor, as well as her academic and administrative experience as head of the METOX graduate program and the head of the interdepartmental program in biomedical sciences and engineering. And with that, I'm delighted to hand it over to Dean Beal to start us off.
Yes, thank you. Greetings from the Office of the President, the University of California, and we met him first time. Wonderful person, the leader at the right time, at the right place in this difficult moment across the country. And I'm here with 10 other graduate deans, and they all rave about the ARCS fellowships, your wonderful galas, and everything what you make this so special. So I give 2 applause or 3 applause quickly before I have a couple of slides. So number one, I really would like to applaud all of you ARCS fellows that you really were selected and that you are carrying the flag for the ARCS Foundation to the next generation. So congratulations to you, and thank you, really, ARCS Foundation leadership here with us. You are the best. You are really wonderful, and it's every year I enjoy this meet and greet, and then even more to come to the galas. And then finally, really thank you, Almut, who is really putting that all together spotlessly, tirelessly, and really without you, this wouldn't be the same. So thank you to all of you, and let's have just a couple of slides for you to situate you, our own ARCS Fellows graduate students, but again, a reminder for our leadership. Do you? Oh yeah, okay, good. Here we are. Next one. And if you can read that, our foundation board members know this in a nutshell. We are still one of the best universities in the world. We are among the 68 AAU, American Association of Universities. But where we are really special, and I hear it really also here right now at the Office of the President, we are the smallest together with UC Merced, but we are really impactful in regard to student success. Student success begins, if you look 360, as you see on the right side here, before we even recruit students. We really have our faculty committees really do an amazing job to really get the right student, the right fit, right, to UC Santa Cruz, to the archives, and to the labs and the classroom. So student success from the very beginning, when we recruit, to the very end, that we hopefully help them to train them with the right skills and provide them an opportunity to change the world, either in industry, outside of academia, or in academia. So professional development, as you see, is also one of our key milestones in our education. Next one. And just a little bit where we are. These are our students, and we have this year, and I tell you in a second a little bit more about it, 200 new doctoral students coming to our campus and 337 master students. We stay the same. We are very proud of it in regard to our Latine students, still more than 14%. And we have also, as a reminder, we still, whatever happens in Washington, because you can change politics, but you cannot change demographics. So we are in HSI, we are in ANAPISI, and we are very proud of our achievements in regard to that. But also, we are very, very proud to really see in the last 5 years, we increased the applications for our doctoral programs by staggering 47%. 47% more applications want to come to this, the labs you support with the ARCS Foundation. And next slide, please. And this is really the doctoral education, where we are a little lagging behind, and I could talk about my vision 2030 of the growth in master's education. I will do that maybe another time, because we are, like other universities across the country, we are dipping a little bit. We are going down in the wrong direction in regard to the masters. And we have several initiatives to really turn that back. One is 4+1 programs to give our undergraduate students an opportunity to get a master's in 5 years. We are working on that. So I predict that in the next 5 years, by 2030, we are really getting on the right track and getting back to our 2,000 master's students. Next one. And here we are with our applications, as you can see how high they go. And then in regard to accepted, there's another story to tell. That means that we are going through what the whole country is going through. That means a reduction of doctoral, the size of doctoral programs. Number one, of course, there's less money. in the system, means from the state, and number two, there's also a disruption in the job market. And what we need to do, and what we are really leading at the UC, is in regard to student success, only letting students in which we can fund for really at least 5 years with our 5-year funding commitments. This is absolutely important, and then prepare them for jobs which are actually right now emerging and not still there. So to really do the professional development that they are really competing for those jobs of the future. Next one. And I quickly run through those. You have seen that again, where we are at the moment, leveling about 367. Next one. I just want to explain to this one is in regard to the doctoral education. And of course, we have the highest number in our STEM disciplines. Next one. And then here, what you right now see in the upper line, we tried very much by 2016 to really grow our doctoral students, which you see here in green, because we wanted to be an AAU, what I just mentioned, the top 68 university. So we grew very fast to about 1,520. Then the COVID shock came, and then we really had to really adjust, because we could no longer, especially in regard to our union contracts, fund all those students. And what we did, changing our really initiatives from growth into success. And that's where we are going right now. And over the next 5 years, we will most likely level up at about 200 students, and about the number then which we had before we did begin to grow. Next one, please. And entering master's cohort, you see this is basically the job market, the crash. Then we have COVID, and now we are getting really into the 337. I really would like to go up till the 500 over the next 5 years with those initiatives I earlier mentioned. Next one. And this is a doctoral. And as you can see, we started a little bit getting into this 200 plus in 2023, 2022. And then we had one thing, and this is where we did not have all our tools in place in regard to student success mechanisms. So we really went up to 265, which is in this current environment not sustainable. And then to this year, that's where we will be in the next 5 years, as it looks like, plus minus 200 doctoral students each year. Next one, and I'm almost done. Just to show you, we are, at least on the graduate side, we are an international university. Again, politics change, but what doesn't change is global knowledge, society, and discovery. It is always global. It will be global. And whatever, regulations are there, we are here really in this wide field to still have two major countries, China and India. But what we are looking right now, I'm just coming back from Mexico, to recruiting also our doctoral students in Latin America. Next one. And you have seen those, please, and Almut will share. This is our strategic plan. Next one. And we are working very, very hard, as you can see the timeline here, on goal 1, which is the funding and supporting our graduate student success. We have achieved that, and everything else will come as we speak, with the mentoring programs, with our professional development programs, student success programs as laid out. And this is online available, and Almut can send that. Next one. And then I think we are almost done. Judy Straub, EEB, former advisor, is now our graduate student life director, and our ARCS fellows here will really, have a great partner in professional development and everything what she does. And a little pitch: if you haven't signed up, please do sign up for the Grad Slam. We have never won it. I want to win it, and maybe with an ARCS fellow. If that will happen, I will do a press release or whatever, media and everything. Please do win for us, dear ARCS fellows. So sign up for the Grad Slam. Next one, I think I just have, these are our mentoring, our funding opportunities. Go to the website. Everything is there. Next one. And just to end, this is our brand new program. I'm the graduate dean chair of the new alliance of Hispanic Serving Research University. Yes, we are still there, and our chancellor, Riff, is leading it for the chancellors, and I'm leading it for the graduate deans. Over 26 universities, and this is our brand new program, professional development for our doctoral students. This will be announced very, very shortly, and we are part of it. Next one. And we are already recruiting the number 2 cohort, the HSIU postdoctoral fellows. Again, professional development for our existing postdocs, and we're really proud of it. And next one, and these are our partners. If you really see a wonderful group, we just have two new UCs, UC Merced and UC Davis, joining us. These are the members of the Alliance of Hispanic Serving Research Universities, and we still do our work. We have fellowships and we have professional development, and this will also, for some of our ARCS fellow, an opportunity to get this additional professional development. I think this is my last slide, right? Then I will just hand over to somebody who has big shoes to fill, because you all know and met Don Smith over the last 3 years, who was the Associate Dean. And since he was so successful, we stayed in the same program. So Karen is a colleague of Don Smith. Karen, you want to say a couple of words? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Peter. Yeah, I'm really excited to be here. I'm stepping in, as Peter said, to be the Associate Dean and help out with some of these great initiatives that Peter has already set in motion. And I've had a long time interaction with ARCS scholars. I've had several that I've mentored myself, and I know what a really wonderful program it is and how much it helps students, be successful, because they just don't have to worry so much about financial issues. So it's really wonderful, the support that's provided. So thank you, and I'll just keep it brief at that.
Thank you, Karen. And from here, we will hand it over to the ARCS Foundation, and we have Judy Webster, who is the co-chair of University Relations, who will address the ARCS scholars, I think.
Yeah. And thank you. And thank you, Dean Beal and Professor Ottoman. It's so terrific to hear from you every year on this. And Amit, if we could get those, are those slides? Could those be given to us? Or is it, okay, that would be great. It's such a great overview. It goes very quickly, but it is quite dramatic and is so wonderful. Everything that you've achieved and have a handle on is quite a state of the university. Thank you. So I'm Judy Webster, and I'm one of the leads this year on university relations for our Northern California chapter of ARCS, and with me are a lot of members from across the Bay Area. So, welcome to everybody, and thank you for having us, and thank you for doing this every year. And Almut and Deb Johnny and Deborah Greenwood, I got to thank you for pulling this all together, because it's not very easy when all is said and done to get everybody together. And so that I want to thank you. But really, to the scholars, this is a big welcome on behalf of ARCS. You are really part of our 2025-26 cohort of scholars, ARCS scholars across the Bay Area. And there are 81 of you this year, I believe, across 7 universities. But you should also know that ARCS, while we are the Northern California chapter, it is a national organization with 15 chapters around the US. And coincidentally, it was really started in 1958 by a group of women in LA who thought we were losing ground in the space race, and they wanted to give more to research and to science. We joined the fold in 1970. And I think really the first year was 1970, but I think we gave money as we started to raise a little bit more and a little bit more. We gave money to Santa Cruz in 1977. And I think we've given about $3.5 million over these years to about 400, a little over 400 scholars. So this last year we raised and gave away a little over $1 million across 7 universities. So anyway, we welcome, and we really do want to very much send our message to you is that we feel the work, the research and the work you are doing, we support that, we take great pride in that, and we really want to give a community of support, not only this year, but when you leave your studies, right, and do additional studies or get out there in the job market, that we also have this community of support. Number one, and so this is our first opportunity this year to hear from you. We had your bios, but now this is the first live opportunity, and we welcome hearing from what the research you're doing and how you came to science, et cetera. So it's great. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And with this, we will start the scholar slide presentation. Give me a second. All right, we're on. Oops, we're not on. Hang on. All right, that's the first slide.
Hi, everybody. Great to hear from all of you. I'm John. I'm, I guess, the ARCS scholar for the chemistry department this year. I'm a fifth-year graduate student in the Chen Lab, and most of my research is going to be focusing on catalytic materials, specifically producing oxygen species that can be used for water purification. And if I'm not stuck in the lab, I'm probably either sitting at home hanging out with my cats or trying to play rugby. But it's been a busy quarter, so I haven't done a whole lot of that so far. Most of my research is going to focus on synthesizing our material, characterizing our material, and making sure it works. So making something, making sure we made what we think we made, and checking to see if it works. And one of the things I really like about this is it's fairly interdisciplinary. So the actual characterization, I routinely work with other professors, specifically over in the physics department, Bud Bridges, and the applications I routinely work with some biological or METOX professors, specifically Chad Saltikoff. I heard some of those from METOX earlier. And that's being a material science researcher, it's really nice to be able to see the different steps through all of it. What ARCS has allowed me to do so far is just focus more time on research, which has been really nice. I managed to submit a paper last week that I definitely would not have been able to finish this year without ARCS. And actually today, I'm going to pretty much right after this, head up to the particle accelerator over in SLAC to do some XIS measurements that Santa Cruz, unfortunately, doesn't have a particle accelerator. I have to travel for that. And I'm only really able to do that because of ARCS. So thank you all for that. And I guess next slide.
Cool. Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Cade. I'm a fourth-year PhD candidate in the biomolecular engineering department. I'm co-advised by Russ Corbett and Shelby Russell. Most of my research is focused around evolutionary genomics, which is sort of using DNA sequences from sampled today to learn about what may have happened to some species or population long ago in the past, and then using that information to try to understand how these species may change or adapt in response to future change. A big part of this work is using and building software to do big and large data analysis. These genome sequences are we're producing more and more genome sequences, and building data analysis programs to make biological insights from this data is becoming harder. And so a large part of my interest is developing software to make computational analysis easier and more reproducible, not only for already experienced scientists and researchers, but also newer scientists that are training in PhD programs and stuff. A big outside of work, I like riding my mountain bike as well as doing martial arts. So for my ARCS research, like I said, a lot of it is building these computational tools for genomic analyses. One good example is this California Conservation Genomics project I've worked heavily on, which is sequencing over 200 threatened species in California. And I'm really thankful to the ARCS for the funding. It has enabled me to go to conferences. I'm a big proponent of open source tools and software and work. All of that is open source and free. And so this money really allows me to spend my time working on those things that then benefit the scientific community. And I'm really grateful for that. So thank you. Next slide.
Hi, everyone. I'm Nathan McGregor. I'm a fifth year PhD student now in Earth and Planetary Sciences. And I work with Francis Nimmo and Miriam Tellis on my research. I'm originally from Idaho. I was born and raised on our family's fourth generation farm. And I was the first to leave the farm and pursue higher education. Um, and I really enjoy Santa Cruz, and I've really enjoyed my time here at the university. I did my undergrad at Boise State University, where I earned a degree in physics and astrophysics and another degree in political science. My main interest is how planets in our own solar system and other solar systems in the universe form and evolve. During my time at UC Santa Cruz, I've been very fortunate to have been awarded two other fellowships in Japanese fellowships that have allowed me to go to Japan and do a lot of the research that I'm doing in Japan for several months. And that's been a terrific experience. And I'm really thankful for those opportunities that I've been able to have during my time here at UC Santa Cruz. The ARCS funding that I've received, thanks to your generosity, is going to help me finish my PhD this year. What that looks like is I'm mainly interested in Venus, where I use models with my advisor, Francis Nimmo, to understand how it's evolved over time for these upcoming missions in the next few years that NASA is going to be sending to Venus. And then I also do a lot of lab work. And so that's where my other advisor, Miriam Tellis, comes in, and she helps me look at meteorites to have an understanding of how the planets outside our solar system have formed and evolved, and compare those to these observations that we're able to make now with these new instruments that we have in space. So the ARCS scholarship to me has been a tremendous gift. I'm very thankful to the ARCS Foundation, the Northern California chapter, for providing this kind of funding, not only because it allows me to finish my PhD this year, which of course is more difficult these days given the cuts, but also a lot of the work I do requires me to go to Stanford for my data analysis. And so I can up to Stanford and do my measurements. And then also I can present my work in conferences in the spring and the winter and publish this work that I'm starting to finish up. So it's been a tremendous gift and allowed me to succeed in my research, but also to be seen, be acknowledged, to be recognized for the work I've been doing is also a terrific gift that I'm very appreciative for. And I want to thank you all again for your kindness and generosity. And with that, we can move on to the next slide. Thank you very much.
Hi there, my name is Maya McElfish, and I work with fish, but it is actually my real last name. I'm from the Ecology and Evolutionary Biology department, and I'm a fifth year candidate in the MEDA lab. In our lab, we study comparative morphology and behavior, usually in elongate tube-shaped critters, so that'd be like snakes and weasels, but very often moray eels, which is one of the main focal species that I work with. And my dissertation kind of flows around the themes of sensory behavior and morphology, and particularly how it relates to foraging ecology. So, how critters are using their senses to complete foraging and the morphology that lets them do that. When I'm not out wrangling eels, I like to ride my bike. I like to go hunt for geocaches and tromp around in nature and try to find some salamanders, especially with this rainy weather. For the ARCS research that I'm going to be doing, it takes a step away from eels and looks at a lot more fish. So I work on Santa Catalina Island in Southern California, and there's about 60 nearshore fish species, and pretty much we know nothing about how they sense the world around them, and use their senses to complete important behaviors like foraging or mating or finding habitat. So for this project, I pretty much go out and drop cameras into the water and watch behavior. And then I travel over to museums and measure external morphology like eye diameter. And then what's up and coming is something I'm really excited about is I'm partnering with the LA Natural History Museum to generate some CT scans of fish brains. And we're doing this for a lot of different species in this system. And fish brains are really cool because they're very compartmentalized. They have like an optic lobe and an olfactory lobe. So they have like a smell region and eye region. So we can really understand the processing power behind the external morphology that is fueling these behaviors. And this is really important because our marine ecosystems are rapidly changing with climate change, but that means the sensory landscape is also changing. So it changes in temperature and pH, odor molecules interact differently, changes in turbidity affect how eyesight is used. So the mission of this project is to generate a catalog of all these species so we can better predict how they're going to respond to these changes to the environment. And I can only really do this project thanks to the generosity of the ARCS and the funding received here. This is a really time-intensive project. I have to do a lot of traveling to Catalina and to museums to wrangle all this data. And I'm usually supported on a TA ship, which doesn't allow me the flexibility and schedule to go make these journeys. So out of 13 quarters, I've TA'd for 12 of them, but thanks to your all's generosity, I'm able to kind of step away from that role and more focus on my research. So that's a little bit about me. Thank you. Next slide.
Hi there. My name is Mira Mastoris. I'm a fifth year PhD candidate in the Department of Biomolecular Engineering and Bioinformatics. I'm advised by Dr. Benedict Payton. My research interests broadly are in the areas of genome assembly, pangenomics, and variant detection. This past summer, I did an internship at a company called Ambry Genetics that is focused on rare disease and cancer genetic tests. And in my free time, I enjoy training for triathlons, and I just competed my 40th triathlon race a few weeks back. So my specific research that's being funded by ARCS is to develop deep learning approaches to improve the quality of reference genome assemblies, and then leveraging these higher accuracy genomes and recent algorithmic innovations in order to study variation in the human genome, in particular in the centromere region. And I'm extremely grateful for this funding support from ARCS. It's allowed me to attend research conferences this year. I just went to one in Memphis about a month ago, and in order to share my work with the broader community, and it's really been an amazing help to reduce the financial burden of living in Santa Cruz. So thank you very much for your generosity.
Hi, so my name is Chloe Willenberg, and I'm a fifth year PhD in Joshua Airbear's lab. My research interests kind of range between like RNA biology, aging and neurodegeneration, and genetics. One of my accomplishments that I was really proud of was that during my first year, I was awarded my department's competitive NIH T32 training grant due to my promise as a developing scientist. And a fun fact about me is I love to play a variety of like board, tabletop, card games, honestly, whatever it is. I just really like games. Now, briefly shifting to kind of talking about my research. So proteins are the building blocks of our cell and very critical to life. So it's super important that the machinery that makes them in our body only produces high quality functional proteins. However, for various reasons, our cellular factories can mess up and bad proteins can get made. But hope is not lost because thankfully the cell has evolved regulatory pathways to degrade these bad products and basically prevent future bad products from being made as well. My thesis research in particular is focused on understanding the mechanism behind a particular surveillance process that ensures proteins are made properly in the cell, specifically at the level of like mRNA regulation. I'm also especially interested in understanding how this particular process can go awry in contexts of aging and neurodegenerative disease. Now, I'm incredibly appreciative for receiving this ARCS scholarship because right now our lab's funding is not super great because of everything happening right now. So I really had to split my time between teaching and doing research in lab. And while I do really, really enjoy teaching, it's very much hard to try to get to graduate as I'm in my fifth year when I'm doing that as well. So this funding is super helpful for allowing me to basically focus on my research full time right now and get to graduating. Thank you. Next slide.
Is Carrie here?
Forgot to unmute myself.
Oh,
Sorry.
there you are.
Just blabbering away to no one. Hi, I'm Carrie Goodbar. I'm a graduate student in the master's program of science communication here at UC Santa Cruz. As a science communication student, my interest is in the intersection of science and what people actually understand and engage with related to science. So before grad school, my research I was an animal trainer, I was a research assistant, I was an arborist, I was a compost program manager. So I worked in all these very different fields, but most of my career was working with animals in research facilities. So I've worked with dolphins, penguins, parrots, otters. And in that role, that really exposed me to the gaps in public knowledge because I was the one assisting with the research, and then I was also the one who had to go explain it to people. So doing that for many years really made me aware of how to communicate science to different audiences, and that's what led me into the science communication program. So my research is reading all of your research, and then also trying to figure out what the core messages are and how to translate them to different audiences, whether it's through writing, photos, videos, audio, etc. The ARC scholarship is critical to me financially. We don't have the opportunity to have a TA-ship or have time to go out and get a job. So it's very necessary for me. The most important part, though, my work involves talking to different scientists and being on the front lines of developing research in science. So being in this community and getting to talk to people such as yourselves and learn about your work, I would say is the most important part of being involved with this program for me. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Soren Torno. I'm with the Department of Electrical and Computer Engineering, and I'm a PhD student in the Nanostructured Energy Conversion Technology and Research, or NECTAR Lab. Others might know it as the Kobayashi Lab. My general research tends to focus on materials engineering in both chemical and physical vapor deposition systems, though we have a lot of focus, at least recently, on the side of mirror production for like NASA and JPL. In particular, the ARCS funded research I'll be doing is actually focusing on atomic layer deposition of aluminum fluoride for its potential uses in the as a thin film protective coating for the far ultraviolet range for telescope mirrors. This is something that, for example, JPL and NASA want to focus on a lot since we don't have a good ability to read into the far ultraviolet spectrum. And most materials like aluminum, which have a semi-decent reflectivity in this range, oxidize very quickly and end up losing most of that reflectance spectra. So we're trying to find a material that can both protect the mirrors without introducing any new forms of plasmon resonance, which is like a quasi-particle interference that we get. So ideally, the aluminum fluoride on an aluminum-based mirror should be able to eliminate all that, last longer. So the bulk of the research will be on exploring this as in its functional form, as well as long-term environmental durability to see if the mirrors can actually last in practical uses. In addition to that, we're also looking into using aluminum fluoride as a type of passivating functional 2D coating material, especially through atomic layer deposition, which generally you can't deposit anything on a 2D material via atomic layer deposition because it requires a functional chemistry. But aluminum fluoride has shown some promise in this field as well, and it has wonderful dielectric properties, which would be very good for creating member-stiff devices. For me, the ARC scholarship is quite helpful. As you all are quite aware, it's very uncertain times that we seem to be living in, so any extra dollar we can get to support ourselves is very helpful. Even so, I'm still maintaining TA positions on campus when I can because the other side of that coin is, again, you'll probably know, but grants are being cut right and left or reduced. For example, right now my lab has around $5,000 to spend over the next 2 years. That's all our funding. So the ARCS scholarship is also going to be helpful as a way to maintain our research funding and to be able to move forward with our research going forward. Thank you. Next slide.
Hello, my name's Anna Sharpman. I'm a 6th-year PhD candidate in the Ocean Sciences Department. I'm a paleoclimatologist, so that means I use chemical remains of ancient organisms preserved in rocks and sediments to build a picture of past ecosystems, like their structure, content, function. as well as past climate dynamics. We like to say this work is useful because it is really like these reconstructions of Earth's past life and climate that we can then use to calibrate our predictions of future climate states. So when I'm not working, I also really enjoy distance running and distance swimming and have loved doing both of those things in the Bay Area. Okay, so my research at UCSC focuses on reconstructing the development of the savanna ecosystem, specifically in Northwest Africa, and determining the causes for its essential like assemblage. Savanna ecosystems are really widespread today and cover 50% of the African continent. Much of our remaining terrestrial charismatic megafauna live in savannas. They are also very economically important and have impact on global climate through several feedback mechanisms. But actually, in the span of geologic time, they are very recent ecosystem types. They are also uniquely hard to predict in how they will respond to climate perturbations because of a lot of different factors actually control how they will respond. Such as precipitation amounts and seasonality, temperatures, soil types, fires, herbivores, CO2 concentrations. There's just a whole lot of factors. So I am building this history of the rise of savannas in Northwest Africa. This is where the savanna in its modern form actually likely originated first in Earth's history, and that's about 15 million years ago, which actually is recent in the span of geologic time. And I'm investigating whether there were dramatic shifts to fire and rainfall that could have led to these ecosystems sort of proliferating on the landscape at that time. I have a lot of writing to do to finish up my dissertation in this year, and the ARCS fellowship is essential to providing me the uninterrupted time that I need to finish, for which I am immensely grateful. Okay, that's all about me. Next slide, please.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jordan Diaz, and I am a four-year PhD candidate in the Astronomy and Astrophysics Department. I am a Cota Robles Fellow, and I'm also a Nostroback Leadership Fellow. Before attending UCSC, I earned a bachelor's degree in physics and a master's degree in optics. And now I'm using the skills developed from those two experiences to test technologies and build telescope instruments for the direct detection and characterization of planets outside the solar system, also known as exoplanets. Directly observing exoplanets is quite a technological challenge. It requires a specialized instrumentation for detecting signals from the planets, which can be billions of times fainter than their overwhelmingly bright host stars. And they're also very close separations. So we can think of this as trying to find a firefly next to a lighthouse. I am now also a member of the Laboratory for Adaptive Optics here at UCSC. I work with Professor Rebecca Jensen-Clem. And at the Laboratory for Adaptive Optics, I'm developing an instrument based on optical fibers and other photonic technologies to achieve this goal. This instrument that I'm developing will allow us to suppress this overwhelming starlight and reveal the presence of forming young exoplanets at closer separations from the stars. I'm more than thankful for being awarded the ARCS scholarship. This award will allow me to continue pursuing my research interest and collaborate with astronomers from NASA Ames Research Center, who these astronomers are developing these kind of technologies and improving them for NASA's next flagship mission, the Future Habitable Worlds Observatory. This is a stepping stone in my goal of contributing to the development of future telescopes and inspiring future generations of first generation astronomers and scientists. That's all for me. Next slide, please.
Hi, my name is Jessica Gagliardi. I'm a fifth year PhD candidate in the Earth and Planetary Science Department. And last year I was also a graduate pedagogy fellow at the UCSC Teaching and Learning Center, which was really exciting. My research interests they sound very jargony. They're in the areas of geochemistry, geochronology, paleoclimate, and glaciology. And when I'm not working on those things, I do a lot of reading and gardening and yoga and swimming and some art also. My research is under the very broad umbrella of geochronology. So I measured the ages and the geochemistry of rocks that form underneath the Antarctic ice sheet. They're called subglacial precipitates, and you can imagine them as being kind of like the limestone that you would find in a cave, like stalagmites or stalactites, but they form in meltwater that exists underneath the ice sheet instead of in a cave. And there are these really special archives of the paleohydrology of the subglacial hydrologic system underneath the Antarctic ice sheet. So they record what the water under the ice sheet was doing in the past. And by extension, that tells us things about how the ice sheet was behaving in the past and how it was responding to things like the ocean warming. And it's really important to have a really comprehensive understanding of how sensitive the ice sheet is to things like the ocean, because all of these things are in a moment of really rapid change. And the better we can understand how sensitive the Antarctic ice sheet is, the better we can project things like sea level rise in the future. And so in our lab, we're trying to do our little part to understand how the Antarctic ice sheet responds to climate change by studying these little rocks that form from the water underneath the ice sheet. Um, and I'm really, really grateful to have the ARC scholarship this year because it's going to allow me to spend my spring quarter, my last quarter here, focusing on writing my dissertation. And it has really given me the peace of mind that I'm going to be able to finish my degree even in the face of huge uncertainty in the funding situation in my lab. I just like it's such a huge sigh of relief to know that I will be able to finish on my time here. I'll be able to get my degree, even regardless of everything that's going on. Just having that security and that peace of mind has been really huge. So thank you guys so much. And that's all from me. Next slide.
Hi, my name is Pierce Giffen. I'm a graduate student in the Department of Physics. I work with Professors Stefania Gori and Stefano Perfumo. And my field of research is theoretical particle physics, where researchers such as myself are trying to answer the question of what is dark matter. Over the past couple of decades, we've really been quite unsuccessful in answering any questions that can give us some insights into what is dark matter. We want to know things like if I had a dark matter particle, how massive would it be? Does it have an electromagnetic charge, or can it turn into other particles? And even though we've built these huge Earth-based experiments and done these astrophysical observations, we haven't yet to answer any of these questions. And so traditionally, when people study dark matter, they look at one particle interacting with another through some kind of hard collisional scattering process. And what we have really yet to do is explore the process of lots and lots of particles simultaneously interacting with lots and lots of other particles through what we call collective effects. And though these collective effects are really hard to study and really hard to quantify, there is a field of physics, plasma physics, that studies these effects quite well. And this is the goal of my research, is to use a lot of these techniques and simulations that have been developed in the field of plasma physics and take them over to the field of dark matter phenomenology so we can learn a lot more about the theoretical modeling of dark matter and some of these models that may be prone to these collective effects. So at UCSC, I've been using our local high-performance computing cluster, LUX, to run some sophisticated simulations of these plasma-like behaviors in these dark matter models in the context of the bullet cluster system. And this has allowed me to study particles of dark matter that could have charges and masses over 10 orders of magnitude below what's been able to previously been studied by these 2-to-2 particle interactions. And really this helps guide my research field in terms of what experiments we want to build and what new observations we want to make to search for these different models of dark matter and to figure out which models are still viable candidates, which versus which ones we can confidently exclude from further studies. So I'm really grateful to the ARCS Fellowship because it's given me the freedom to relieve myself from some teaching duties for this quarter, as well as giving me the opportunity to travel, present my research at conferences, which not only helps give my research more visibility to my research community, but also helps me open up collaboration networks at these conferences and build a more strong research program for myself and set a more rigid research guideline for my future career. So I'm very grateful and thank you very much. Next slide.
Hi there, my name is Allison Payne. I'm a PhD candidate in my 5th year in the Ecology and Evolutionary Biology department, and my interests are mostly in deep sea ecology. I use tools like passive acoustic monitoring, biologging, which are animal-borne sensors, and then some more traditional tools like demography to try to learn as much as we can about the deep sea. And I have a position starting at the National Center for Ecological Analysis and Synthesis beginning next year. So ARCS is giving me a chance to finish my dissertation so I can start that new position. My research is about trying to find rare and cryptic species in existing data sets. So we're trying to find animals like beaked whales, which are these really rare but very interesting and cool whales that do come up to places like Monterey Bay. And I'm also instrumenting elephant seals with passive acoustic recorders to kind of just listen to the sounds of the deep ocean and see if the seals might be honing in on any cues from other animals. And we think that they recorded a bunch of different animals on the recorders we've put out so far, things like sperm whales and Pacific white-sided dolphins. So that's really exciting to be able to work on and have the time to dig into. So thank you to ARCS for allowing me to have that time to fully immerse myself in these many very large data sets that I have, which will help me finish on time and start my new position. So thank you for that. Next slide.
Hi everyone, I'm Olivia, and like Carrie, I'm also in the Science Communication program at UC Santa Cruz. Because I don't do research, but instead I write about the research and also make videos about it, I tend to have sort of like a creative vision when it comes to the projects that I partake in. So a lot of my interests are specifically in multimedia, which includes podcasts and short videos for museums. So this quarter at UC Santa Cruz, I'm working with the Seymour Center to make a video for their exhibit that's opening up soon, which has been really exciting. And I have been a researcher before, so I really appreciate hearing all of the projects that I've been able to hear so far throughout this presentation. My research was in the Andes, where I studied butterfly evolution. So I have a really big interest in research that's occurring in Latin and South America. So I'm hoping to pivot the work that I do to center on those regions. Um, I'm extremely grateful for this scholarship because it allows me to actually go into the field and interact with researchers. So just yesterday, for example, I rented a car and went over to Monterey Bay, which is a beautiful place, and just allowed me to really interact with the researcher that I was filming. So I'm grateful for that. I've also been able to go to science writers conferences. I just got back from a conference in Chicago about 2 days ago, so that wouldn't have been possible without the ARCS scholarship. So I'm extremely grateful for that. And it's been so great to hear about the other scholars' research going on. Thank you. And next slide.
All right. Thank you all so much. That was amazing. We do have a little bit of time to answer some questions, and I think for simplicity's sake, if people would just like to speak up, just unmute yourselves, and then we can do it as a big classroom. Elizabeth, maybe?
Hi, thank you, everybody. It was so interesting hearing all your talks. How many of the fifth year PhD candidates will graduate in the next year or get there?
There was 1, 2, 3, maybe.
Can I also answer a question here? When I said we have Elizabeth, 5-year funding commitment is what the university really provides. But programs have 6 years normative time.
Right.
All the students who are telling you, hey, they're actually faster than what they have available. So 6 years is really for all students here. That's their normative time.
Thank you.
I saw someone raising their hand, Susan Acospasi.
Hi. Yes, yes. I was hoping maybe Pierce could enlighten about whether, I think it was you talking about the illumination sort of getting behind the brightest objects to see further into what's going on has discovered new planetary systems.
I believe that was Jordan.
Jordan. Okay,
Yeah,
sorry.
that was me. So can you repeat your question, please?
Well, are new planetary systems being discovered by being able to see beyond sort of bright objects that used to obscure them?
Yeah, actually, so far, just recently we reached the 6,000 mark of exoplanets being discovered. But by this method of directly observing, like literally taking snapshots of the planet, that's the really difficult challenge. And so far, like through that method, only no more than 100th of them have been discovered through that method. So that's why we're trying to push the boundaries of like improving this technology so that we can block the light from the planet and have better improve the capabilities of the telescope to be able to observe whatever is like these planets that are like orbiting out around the star.
So that at least there are 100 other solar systems out there that we didn't before know about, but perhaps more.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. We can put it in that way. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Sure.
I would like to ask a question. Is there anything that ARCS can do for scholars that would help you maybe after you've graduated and are out there looking for a job? Is there anything that, any kind of things we can do to help you out?
I can jump in that I have some folks in the ARCS Foundation already. We are talking with them, providing you the ARCS Foundation dashboards about where our ARCS scholars actually find jobs, which is amazing how successful they are. But as you all know, we have sometimes the disruptions as we know them right now, and
Right.
there is of course something what other funding, foundations are doing, which is a kind of bridge funding in regard to get really to those wonderful placements. And I'm happy to reach out with Almut to a couple of you, and we brainstorm about opportunities.
Okay.
And I want to be mindful of the time that we have, and I would like to give the microphone to Julie Rice, who has some closing remarks for us.
Thank you, Almut, and thank you for organizing this. Thank you, Dean Beal, and thank you, Professor Otterman, for sort of enlightening us on the exciting things going on at UC Santa Cruz. I'm Julie Reese, and I'm a member of our Scholar and Alumni Relations Council. And on behalf of all of us at ARCS Northern California, I really want to thank the scholars for taking the time today to come and give us just a little excitement about what your work is about. Thank you for your passion. Thank you for your dedication. Thank you for your hard work. And thank you for hanging in there in very, very difficult and discouraging times. As ARC scholars, you are now part of a group of over 11,000 ARC scholars. So hopefully you will find many connections in our ARCS alumni and our current ARC scholars that will help propel you forward in your science careers. I want to encourage you to join the ARCS LinkedIn group. It's a great way to find those connections. And we look forward to just supporting you in your work as you continue through your PhD and into participating as working scientists as you go forward. We really look forward to really hearing more about your work at our symposium and celebration, the Supernova, which will be on April 20th this spring. And We also might ask some of you if you would be willing to speak at one of our members' meetings, or at another event. We'd like to present you with as many opportunities as we can to get out and explain your work to the rest of the world, and particularly to us because we're very interested. Anyway, thank you so much for coming today. Thank you so much for taking the time to put your slides together, to be so clear in communicating about your work. And we look forward to seeing you in April.
Thank you so much. And thank you to the ARCS Foundation for making this meeting, for your interest in our scholars, for your engagement with them and your enthusiastic feedback. And we do look forward to seeing everybody in person in April.
And let's thank you all for standing up for science. If you haven't clicked on the link, please do click on the link. Stand up for science. Thank you very much. Thank you.